Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron, and welcome back today to another live stream. This is the big one. This is the one that we've been waiting to stream for a few days now, even a week or so. The big transfer show. I've called it the Mighty Transfer Show just to go along with the name of the channel. A little bit cringy, but oh well. This is the one where we're going to be talking about all of the latest transfer news regarding Everton Football Club. Talking about players coming in, talking about players going out. I've got a whole list of players here that have been rumoured to be coming in and out, so we'll have a little discussion about them today. Obviously, there's been some big transfer rumours in the last week or so. I mean, the biggest one, I suppose, to start with, just briefly, is the rumours that Idrissa Gana Gueye will possibly leave Everton and join PSG. Now, there's a lot to that rumour at the minute. There was some, speculation that he'd even agreed personal terms with PSG earlier in the week. There was other speculation that PSG aren't willing to pay the £40 million that Everton are wanting for Idrissa Gana Gueye, and therefore, he won't leave the club. There's a lot to talk about regarding that. Wilmar Barrios is another one as well, probably the biggest rumour regarding players coming into Everton, the one with the most substance at the minute. He is a Colombian midfielder currently playing for Boca Juniors, so we'll discuss him as well. A lot to talk about in this team. It's going to be a nice lengthy one for you. Let me just tweet it out so everybody on Twitter knows where we are and can come and join in the discussions. I hope you like the name of the show as well. I know it's a little bit cringy, but I just thought Mighty Blues, Mighty Transfer Show, it works, whatever, let's go with that, basically. So yeah, there's a lot of players that are rumoured to be coming in the doors of Everton. Regarding the players coming in, of course, it does sort of go against what Marcel Brands and Marco Silva have said so far about this transfer window. Marcel Brands obviously had an interview a couple of days ago. He spoke at the Everton general meeting as well, the Everton AGM last night, and he was asked about the January transfer window, and he basically said, look, I haven't got big plans for this window at all. Any changes that need to be made, any massive changes that need to be made, we'll discuss them in the summer. I think that's a positive for Everton. I know a lot of fans were a little bit humming and hawing about these comments on Twitter and things like that. Listen, we all know the January transfer window is a tough window to do business. It really is a tough window. Sorry, teams expect a lot of money for players that, yes, okay, are good players, but aren't necessarily the best players in the world, and teams ask for over-the-odd prices for these players. Marcel Brands understands that, and Marcel Brands understands that the players that he wants to bring into Everton are more than likely going to become available for a lot cheaper price and for a lot better of a deal in the summer rather than the January transfer window. He's already vocalised the fact that he won't overpay for anybody, that he won't bring in any player just because, they're a good player or they look good on sort of videos. He's already said that any player that comes into Everton will be a player that suits the way Marco Silva plays, suits the system, and will be a player that, we can bring on an affordable price and a price that they are worth. He's discussed the possibility of signing a Hervé Lozano from PSV. He said, listen, if they want £40 million for him, we're not going to sign him because I don't think he's worth that. And I think that's a big positive for us Evertonians. I know it's a little bit annoying and I know it's a little bit frustrating just, sitting here on the off and thinking we're probably not going to sign anybody major in January, where realistically we need a striker, we need a right back, we probably need another centre midfielder as well. But I think it's very interesting and it's a very positive thing overall that Marcel Brands is obviously coming out and saying, look, I'm not just going to waste money on players that aren't going to benefit the squad. I'm not going to go out and sign somebody for 20 million just for the sake of having a January, signing, just for the sake of saying, look, we signed somebody in January. That's not going to happen. And I think that's fantastic because that's happened before. You look at our recent January transfer windows, Niassi come in, 14 million, very much a player to say, look, we've signed someone. Let's be honest, never really got it running at Everton. Okay, he's had a couple of good games here and there, but he's going to probably leave the door in January. He's one of the ones I've got down. Cenk Tosun coming in last January, looked really good towards the end of last season. Now, isn't really getting a game, isn't getting sort of anywhere near the team. Obviously played 45 minutes against Lincoln and didn't really do much in that game either. Theo Walcott, another one who looked fantastic last season but is now out of favour with the fans because his performances haven't been good enough. And we're looking at these players and you're thinking, okay, maybe that's the examples of players that have come in January that haven't done very well, but we've spent a lot of money on them players as well. We spent £50 odd million on Tosun Theo Walcott last January, and then there's two players now that fans are calling to, even some fans are calling to sell them. I personally wouldn't sell either of them, but I understand the reasons why fans are saying, they shouldn't be at the club, they're not good enough. So I think it's very positive from Marcel Brands, just, straight off the mark before we go into talk about any of the transfer windows. For me, I'm very happy with the comments. I think it's very honest, and it's the hard truth, and that's what we need as Evertonians. Look, we don't want a director of football that's going to come in and say, yes, I'll have you this player, I'll have you that player, I'll have you this player. We also don't want a director of football that's going to come in and do a similar job to how Steve Walsh done and Ronald Koeman, and just said he's decent, he's alright, bring them all in, and not actually think about the way we play and how these players will fit into our system. Now look, I'm not going to sit here and slag Steve Walsh's signings off or Ronald Koeman's. I'm not going to sit here and say Gylfi Sigurdsson hasn't been a success, because I think Gylfi Sigurdsson's absolutely fantastic, but Gylfi Sigurdsson was signed on the basis that he is a very good footballer and was the best player at Swansea, exactly like Yannick Bolasie was. He was signed on the basis that he was Villa's best player and he could come in and, and maybe do a job for us. And these players were all brought in having not thought about the way we play and the style that we play, and that's why they haven't worked. Well, that's why Yannick Bolasie didn't work. Gylfi Sigurdsson obviously is an absolutely fantastic footballer and has been, on good form this season. Okay, in recent weeks he's dropped, but you'd have to sit there and you'd have to think, would Marcel Brands have signed Gylfi Sigurdsson for 45 million? I really don't think so. So we have to have faith and we have to have trust in Marcel Brands and Marco Silva, especially when they're being honest and coming out and saying, look, we're probably not going to get much business done in January just because of the way the January transfer window works. If you're a football fan, whether you're an Everton fan, whether you're anybody else, a fan of any other team, you know that the January transfer window, especially in this country, isn't a fantastic window to do business, because teams have you for silly prices for players that aren't even fantastically good, and that's just what happens because teams will not sell their best players halfway through the season. You're not going to go to Bournemouth and sign Callum Wilson for 20 million in January because he's the best striker. Why would they sell him in the middle of the season when if they lose him, they could go that way and towards relegation? You're not going to go and get a Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace for anywhere less than 50 million for me in January, because why would they sell their best right back, their prospect, when they can get double the money for him in a couple of years to come by one of the top teams in the league? So I think it's very important what Marcel Brands has said, and I think it's very important we understand that and we sort of see where he's coming from, rather than just jump on in and go, we need a striker, we need the right back, we need the centre midfielder. Marcel Brands understands that we need all of these players, but for me, we need to really wait until the summer and the start of next season. I always say when I'm speaking about this with friends, when I'm speaking about this with people that say, Cam, what do you think of the transfer situation, what do you think about Brands and Silva, I always say, listen, we need to give them time and we need to give them at least 3 or 4 transfer windows. And I always say, I will judge this squad, the starting 11 that plays the first game of next season, because then we'll have had 2 summers and we'll have had the January to get this squad right. And for me, then there's no real excuse to have a player that isn't good enough. In January, you can't really expect us to go out and replace a Theo Walcott, replace a Seamus Coleman straight away, because the players that you bring in aren't usually worth the value of the price that you're paying for them, and that, you have to understand that, and I think a lot of Evertonians do understand that, me included. If you're in the live comments, if you're watching this live, please do leave your thoughts in the comments section. If you're watching this as a video as well, leave your thoughts down there as well. Who would you like to bring in? Obviously, we'll go and speak about the players in just a second, but what do you think about Marcel Brands' comments, I suppose, just to start off with? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Do you think it's important that we bring players in January? Do you think it's important that we do sign a striker in January, we do sign a centre midfielder? Do you think we're desperate for them positions, or do you think it's okay to just sort of go as we're going now, keep grinding results out, and then in the summer sort of look at what we need and then act on that then, rather than making a rash decision of buying somebody in January and them not working out? Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. So suppose we'll go in to talking about transfer rumours and players. That's why we're all here, that's why we all want to watch the video and see what Everton are going to do, who we're going to potentially sign in January, if not who we're going to be signing in the summer. Just before I go into them, John Russell has said, agree with you, Cam, we'll need a few windows to improve the whole team. Exactly, and it was never going to be done in the first transfer window. It's never going to be done in the summer, and I always go back to the point, the summer transfer window ended before we even kicked the ball in the Premier League. And I know there's pre-season, and I know people will say, but Silva seen tossing in pre-season, and he'd have seen what he was like. Listen, Marco Silva wouldn't have gauged much from Cenk Tosun playing against a load of Swiss farmers where we won 22-1 or whatever the score was, 22-0. He won't have gauged much from him playing fitness games, against other teams in pre-season. He won't have gained much from the team that come together after a massive World Cup for a lot of our players. Everyone playing, obviously Jordan Pickford playing in England, Yerry Mina coming in, played for Colombia in the World Cup, he won't have gained much from pre-season in terms of the ability of these players. So it's important that we give Silva January and we give Brands January and the summer to sort this, you know, this situation out. We all know we need the striker, we need the midfielder, we need the right back. They know that as well, but it doesn't mean it's got to be done right now. If we can't get a deal for a good enough player right now, then we have to wait till the summer, and that's just how it is. So we'll go into talking about the transfer rumours. I suppose we'll start firstly with the one that's got the most meat to it. I think a lot of Evertonians will agree with this. If you're on Twitter, if you're reading the papers, you'll have heard about this player a lot over the last couple of days. The others, I've sort of put them in order of players with, you know, the most sort of meat on the rumour. If you don't know what that means, basically I mean the most likely at the minute, the rumour that's going around the most, that's looking the most likely, and then, you know, towards the bottom are the ones that, you know, have just maybe been mentioned by the odd journalist on Twitter who may not even be talking any sense. But we'll talk about the first player first. It is, of course, Wilmar Barrios. Like I mentioned, if you've been on Twitter, if you've read Twitter over the last week or so, Everton have been heavily linked with Boca Juniors midfielder Wilmar Barrios. He is Colombian international. He did play for Colombia in the World Cup. Some of you keen-eyed Blues have been quick to notice that he was the player that in fact headbutted Jordan Henderson in the quarter-final against England. I'm not going to say anything about that. I don't condone violence on the pitch, but for me, if he's up for a derby, he's up for a derby. Yeah, but anyway, Boca Juniors midfielder, obviously playing in the Argentinian league. Very, very similar to an Idrissa Gana Gueye type of midfielder. I'll read you stats out in a minute and you'll see what I'm talking about. He is available for around $23 million because of, obviously it's in South America. I think his release clause is around about $23 million as well. So that's around 18, 19 million pounds. So it's really not a lot of money for a player in this day and age in the grand scheme of things. You know, 5 or 6 years ago, we might have been saying £23 million, a lot of money. But now, you know, you've got bloody Dominic Solanke going for 17 million or whatever it was. And he's only scored 1 goal in the Premier League and he's absolutely bloody Thomas Tank. So £23 million really isn't that much. Now, Wilmar Barrios, obviously, like I mentioned, playing for Boca Juniors in the Argentinian league. In the Copa Libertadores, which I believe is their trophy competition, he's played 12 games, no goals, no assists, 2 yellow cards, 1 red. And in the Argentinian Premier League, he has played 5 games, no goals, no assists, and 3 yellow cards. Now, like I said there, I wouldn't take too much out of the assists, I wouldn't take too much out of the goals, because he is a player a little bit like Idrissa Gana Gueye. He does the dirty work, he runs round. I believe he is a little bit better on the ball than Gana Gueye, and I'm not sticking Gana Gueye out there and saying, you know, he's a better option, he's a better player. What I'm saying is that I believe, you know, basically he can string a few 5-yard passes together, which at the minute Gana doesn't seem to be able to do. Again, no disrespect to Gana, but that's just what I'm seeing week in, week out in an Everton shirt. But yeah, he does look like a very, very good player. Like I said, South American, Colombian midfielder, very feisty. Obviously will be friendly with Yerry Mina, his international teammate, coming from the Argentinian league as well. Now, there's always this sort of, you know, there's this thing around players coming from leagues like the Argentinian league of will they settle, will they be able to settle in. Obviously we had Funes Mori a couple of years ago come in, playing for River Plate, didn't quite settle in the Premier League. You know, he was a centre-half that wore his socks up to his shins, had the fancy tape on, the fancy boots, and really, I think he fancied himself more as a striker than a centre-half. He wasn't fantastic. Okay, a couple of games, you know, he played well, and he had a couple of really good games, but in the long run, I think a lot of Evertonians will say he probably wasn't our best sign, and he definitely wasn't you know, a fantastic centre-half. Let's say he wasn't poor, but he wasn't what we needed at that time. So there's always that, you know, that worry of players coming in from leagues like the South American League, leagues that are really physical, that are really dominant, and that, you know, you're allowed to get away with a lot more. It's that issue of players like that coming into the Premier League. I mean, this lad's had 1 red card in the Copa Libertadores. Now, I've watched Copa Libertadores games before. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. But I've watched games like that before, and you have to do an awful lot to get a red card in a game like that, because there's tackles flying everywhere. It's a very vicious game. It's not a game for the light-hearted, I'll tell you that. So there is a worry of a player coming like that, coming into the Premier League, coming into an Everton, playing in this league where, you know, if you touch an attacking player in this day and age, they will go over. And again, I'm not picking at certain teams there, because we've got one ourselves for Charleston at the minute, who whenever he is touched, he will go over. So I think there's always that worry, I think, for me around players coming in from these leagues, especially, you know, coming in from the South American leagues where they are, you know, used to physical play, physical football, you know, coming in and maybe picking up a couple of silly yellow cards, because obviously the refereeing standard in this league is really, really poor, and that's something that, you know, Wilmar will have to be spoken about if he comes in. He'll have to be said, listen, you need to calm yourself down, because you're not going to be able to get away with half the things in this league that you got away with in the Argentinian, the first division, of course, because, you know, referees are a lot different, the games are a lot different, you know, it's not as tough, it's not as gritty in this league as it is maybe over there. But in terms of the player himself, I don't think it's fair that we just say, okay, you know, maybe he shouldn't come in because you know, he might be a little bit of a hothead. I don't think that's fair to say. In terms of the player himself, he looks a good player. He looks like he can control the ball. He looks like he can do the gritty work in the midfield, and, you know, putting the fouls aside and putting the headbutt against Jordan Henderson aside, he looks like the type of player that can do that. Obviously, his stats speak volumes. He's not a very attacking player. He doesn't sort of, you know, contribute a lot in terms of goals and assists, but he's definitely a player, I think, that Marco Silva and Marcel Brands will be looking at. I don't know whether they'll be looking at him as a replacement for Idrissa Gana Gueye. I don't know whether they'll be looking at him either way, if Gueye stays or goes. Maybe he's a player to come in and that can, you know, come in and out of the team and maybe be the player that gives Idrissa Gana Gueye a rest. I'm not too sure. Obviously, be a very, very interesting one if it happens. Let me know in the live comments, do you want Wilmar Barrios? Obviously, he is... he looks like a good player for me. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of him, but from what I've seen of him, he looks a good player. He looks very technical. He looks very composed on the ball. He will be friendly with Yerry Mina, of course. It will help that they will speak the same language. He'll be able to bed in well, of course, I believe. But for me, it's just a case of, if this lad is going to come in, he needs to understand the way the Premier League works. He needs to understand the way the refereeing works, and he can't be throwing headbutts around and things left, right and centre, because he will get a sending off, and that's the type of reputation that you don't want. You know, you don't want a player coming in that, you know, I know as Evertonians, Mo Besic is the classic example for me. As Evertonians, we love a player that'll throw a tackle in, and that'll be a little bit snarl, and that'll, you know, give his all for the badge. But I think there's a difference between giving your all for the badge and just being plain stupid. If Wilmar Barrios comes in and starts throwing his head about and starts putting studs into people's knees, I think fans will turn on him quite quickly and say, you know what, you're not doing it for the badge, you're just a hothead and you're not improving this team, you're just giving us more problems. So it's important that, obviously, if he does come in, not saying that he is going to be like that, not even saying that he's that type of player, but I'm just saying that league, the Argentinian league, is very renowned for players like that. Obviously, we've seen him on the world stage of the World Cup, and he threw a headbutt in there as well. So I think if he is coming in, he does need to be told that, look, the refereeing standard is a lot different in this league. Your boy says there, the Argentinian league is a lot different to the Premier League. Exactly, it's a lot different. He's going to need to settle in, and, you know, in terms of his ability wise, yes, I think he does have the potential to be a fantastic midfielder, and if we bring him in, I will definitely get behind him and I'll more than back him. And if he is fighting for the badge and if he's working his arse off game in, game out, then you can't complain. What I don't want is him to come in and you know, start throwing tackles in left, right and centre, getting stupid yellow cards and then getting sent off and becoming, you know, the type of player that you go, there's an instant yellow card every single game. I don't want that to happen. Again, not saying that will happen, but in terms of transfer rumours, I suppose that one has been the biggest one in the last couple of days. Obviously, it's been all over Twitter. A lot of journalists saying that he's very, very close to agreeing to move to Everton. I think there was an Argentinian newspaper that posted an article of their whole back page of him waving goodbye to the Boca Junior fans, and that article basically said, you know, Wilmar Barrios waves goodbye as he heads to Everton for the transfer. I think it would be a good signing. Like I said, £23 million isn't a lot in this day and age, and at the end of the day, we need another centre midfield player, whether Gueye stays or whether he doesn't stay. If he doesn't stay, we probably need another 2 midfield players, but we need another player that can do what Idrissa Gana Gueye does, that can run around in the centre of midfield, pick up the bits and bobs, do the gritty hard work, do the snardy work in that centre of midfield, and then give it out to somebody like an Andre Gomez, or like a couple of the players we're going to speak about in just a minute, to do that, you know, nice intricate work, and then, you know, even a Gylfi Sigurdsson to do the nice ticky bit. We just need somebody else as well as Gana Gueye that can do the gritty bits, because for me, not many players in this league, probably in this world, do that better than Idrissa Gana Gueye does. But having said that, he also, you know, Gana Gueye really does need to improve on his passing. He needs to improve on his overall game, other than just picking the ball up and you know, taking it back off opposition players, because a lot of people are right when they say, yes, Gana Gueye, you know, picks up the scraps and wins the ball back, but a lot of the time he's winning the ball back from his own mistake, letting it go, and I think that's a very, very fair point. But that is the Wilmar Barrios one. Like I said, at the moment, that is the one that's looking the most likely. I know Marcel Brands has said that, you know, we're probably not going to do much business in January, and we don't really look to January to bring in players, but that's the rumour that's been all over Twitter, all over the internet for the last couple of days or so, and that's the one with the most meat on its bones, I suppose I should say. Let me know in the live comments what you think about that one. Let me know in the comments as well, if you're watching this as a video, what you think about Wilmar Barrios. Would you be excited to bring him in? Would you look for a player like that? Would you welcome him in? 22 million, 23 million, 18 million pounds, not that much money, let's be honest. Would you want him to come in? And if so, do you think he can be the replacement for Idrissa Gana Gueye if Idrissa Gana Gueye leaves? Or do you think he would come in as sort of a player to play alongside him and, you know, alternate games with Idrissa Gana Gueye? And if Gana Gueye goes, would you want to sign somebody other than Wilmar Barrios, to replace him? Do you think that this kid is good enough to replace Gana Gueye? Ava says, hi Ava. John says, some short-term signings needed. I know fans want Champions League players now, but it wouldn't work because by the time we have overhauled the team, they will be off somewhere else. Exactly, and that's a really important point, and that's a really good point. I always go back to this example, and I hate it because I hate Liverpool, but if you look at what he's done at Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp, he's built on the team, and he's brought in a couple of players each season that he needed. He brought in, obviously he brought in the attackers, Salah. He's then gone on and brought in Van Dijk at centre-half. He really needs a centre-half. He's seen that he really needs a goalkeeper, so he's gone up and brought in a goalkeeper, and he's done that. And it's important that we add to the positions that we need. We prioritise striker, we prioritise right back, we prioritise centre midfielder, and maybe that is the substance behind Marcel Brands saying, look, I'm not going to do much business in January, because maybe he's looking, going, first and foremost, we need a striker, and we're not going to get a decent striker in January, so I'm not just going to go out and go, we'll just buy a midfielder, because that's not top of our list, that's not our main priority, so we'll wait till the summer, and then we'll go on the list of priorities. And like you said there's no point in going after these absolutely world-class, fantastic footballers, because we need to have midfielders that can just do the gritty, everyday, normal, sort of simple footballing tasks that, you know, we don't really have at the minute. Like I said, I love Idrissa Gana Gueye, and I think he's a fantastic footballer, but if you've got a midfielder that can't pass the ball, that is a worry for me. So that's what we need to bring in before, you know, we look to bring in somebody of the next Ike and the next level. We need to be a solidified top 6 team before we then look to go on and be a solidified top 4 team. And like Denise Barrett-Baxendale, our CEO, said in yesterday's Everton AGM, in the future we look to be, you know, competing, winning the Premier League. We look to be competing in the Champions League finals, and we're doing it in the new stadium as well. But she is absolutely right in what she said. Absolutely fantastic speech by her. If you haven't seen it or heard it already, or read it, should I say, sorry, go over to the Everton Twitter and read her speech from last night's Everton AGM. It's absolutely fantastic. But like she said, that's going to take time and that's going to take progress. Marco Silva is the right man to do that, in my opinion, as of now, as is Marcel Brands. Marcel Brands obviously also appointed to the board yesterday. That's some breaking news as well. He is now a board member, so he'll have a lot more to do with the football club and not just doing signings and working with Marco Silva. But it's important that this is a process, and, you know, I know a lot of fans want the, you know, the top players at the minute, but what we have to understand is we need to climb the steps. We need to, you know, walk before we can run, is the saying, instead of just jumping from being here to being here, because that's not how it's gonna work. John says, can you keep this new setup? I like this one more than the other one. Yeah, I'm going to keep the living room setup for the sort of chill streams where we talk about things like transfers, where we talk about other situations. I'll probably have the blue one for the game reviews and previews, just because it's got the pitch on, but I'll definitely be using this one a lot more, John. Your boy says, the Argentinian League, we've read that one already. John says, love the way you go live so early, mate. Yeah, I've literally not even long got home from work. I've been home from work maybe 45 minutes, but set everything up and thought, you know what better time to go live than now and talk about the transfer. So yeah, that was the Wilmar Barrios transfer. A lot of sort of, I don't want to say meat in terms of, you know, there's been rumoured bids, there's been rumoured dates for his medical, you know, he's been spotted in an airport. I don't mean meat in that sense. I mean meeting the fact that this is very much a rumour. All of these rumours are rumours. There's nothing majorly substantial behind them. There's nothing to say we've made a bid. There's nothing to say we're going to make a bid. These just are pretty much paper talk at the minute. They're rumours, but in terms of the Wilmar Barrios one, there's a lot more behind that paper talk. There's a lot of different outlets, different articles reporting this than some of the other ones. But like I said, it's not meat on the rumour in terms of that, you know, he's been spotted in Liverpool or he's had a conversation with brands. That none of that's come out. That might not have happened. But I mean, in terms of a rumour itself, there's a lot, you know, a lot more outlets are coming out with this one rather than maybe the odd journalist on Twitter that's saying, oh yeah, Malcolm's going to sign for Everton, because that, you know, that's one that there mightn't be as much to that. We'll go on to talk about that now. That's a nice little segue, I suppose. Malcolm is the next one on my list. Now, this one for me is a very interesting transfer rumour. It definitely is a very interesting one. Now, like I said, there's not a lot behind this transfer rumour. There's the typical, I like to call it the Yarmolenko effect. Basically, when Everton go for a player and are unsuccessful signing him, aka going for Malcolm in the summer, and we're unsuccessful, in the next following transfer windows, so in the transfer window after the summer, in the transfer window after January, we are then usually linked with that same player again by the same media outlets that say, Everton may be in for him again, you know. Like I said, the Yarmolenko effect. I know Joe does designs, Joe does graphics, the lad that does all my graphics work, love Yarmolenko, but like I said, once we were first linked with Andrei Yarmolenko after that, you know, Dynamo Kiev game where he tore us to bits, we were then linked with him for every single transfer window until he moved to Dortmund, and then again until he moved to West Ham United. So I think I like to call it that effect. Like I said, the Malcolm one at the minute is purely, I think, people coming out and saying, okay, Everton were after him in the summer, he hasn't settled at Barcelona, you know, let's try and push him for the move for Everton. Now, we will talk about him, of course. Like I said, Brazilian attacker, currently playing for Barcelona, joined them in the summer, was quite heavily linked to Everton in the summer, I think it's fair to say. And then I popped down on the notes there, we had the whole Roma saga. If you're not aware of the Roma saga, basically Everton were linked with Malcolm. There was I think it was Sky Sports tweeted out that we were in advanced talks with him to bring him to the club. That then all sort of broke down. We didn't really hear much more about that. We were all led to believe that, you know, he was going to sign a contract and that was it, we were going to sign him. It all broke down. He then went to being on advanced talks with Roma. That one had a little bit more, you know, meat to it. That one was a lot more substantial. He then flew to Roma to sign the contract, I believe, had the pen in his hand, heard that Barcelona were in for him, turned around to his agents and said, let's go on that plane. Got on a different plane, signed for Barcelona, to the point where Roma themselves, the football club, the chairman, had to put a statement out to the fans as to why Malcolm didn't sign for the club, because it was that heavily rumoured that he was going to put pen to paper, and obviously he was there ready to put pen to paper. That soon decision to go to Barcelona and turn his head and go, no, we're going to go there, obviously meant that the Roma chairman had to put a full statement out to the fans explaining that situation. So that's just a little bit of history about Malcolm. Obviously, we reported that we're wanting a loan deal for him. This again, a couple of newspapers here and there, a couple of journalists on Twitter, not too much surrounding this rumour. But for me, I just want to hear your thoughts on this one. If you're in the live comments, do leave them there. If you're watching this as a video afterwards, leave them down below. I'll be reading the comments, I'll be reading the thoughts all night. What do you think about this one? Because Malcolm is a player for me. Look, there's no doubt that he's got talent, and there's no doubt that he's got a lot of potential, and that he could be a really good player for Everton in the future in the Premier League. But I don't know whether it was so much him or his agent that turned around to Roman and said, no, we're going to Barcelona. But for me, anybody with that sort of attitude, that's a big red flag for me. That's a big red herring. I work in recruitment and HR, so as soon as a red flag comes up, I'm always a bit like, ooh, what about that? Do we go near him? And for me, that's a little bit of a red flag for me, the fact that he was in Roma and he was ready to sign that contract, and he literally turned around on the day, flew on the same day to Barcelona and signed that contract instead, to the point where the Roma themselves had to put a statement out explaining this. For me, that is a little bit of an issue, and that is a little bit of a red flag, because I sort of think, you know, what happens if Malcolm signs for Everton because it's not going well at Barcelona, and then in a year or so somebody else comes in for him and he goes, right, ta-ra, I'm leaving. I just think that's a bit of an issue for me, and let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Of course, we'll talk about him anyway because he is being rumoured, and I think it's only fair with obviously the history in the summer and the rumours that we had in the summer surrounding him. So he hasn't got his career at Barcelona off to the best start, I think it's fair to say. Like a lot of players that go to Barcelona that aren't really top class, players that have got potential but go to Barcelona don't usually hit the ground running. They usually go there, play a couple of games, Barca find out that they're actually not as good as they once thought, and then they end up getting loaned back out or sold. Malcolm's played 5 games in the La Liga. He scored no goals and got no assists. He played 2 games in the Copa del Rey, scored a goal and got no assist. So in terms of the Copa del Rey, obviously 2 games, 1 goal. It's not a bad ratio. 5 games, no goals. I suppose you can look at that and go, okay, 5 games for Barcelona in La Liga. It's probably not the worst thing to not score. I think for me, the amount of games he's played shows that Barcelona don't really favour him. Obviously, I know they've got a lot of power in attack, let's be honest. Not Neymar, sorry. Messi, Coutinho, all sorts, Suarez, players like that. So I'm not saying Malcolm isn't a good player because he's not getting into Barcelona's team. That's not what I'm saying at all. As an Everton fan, I know that means absolutely jack all, because we've got Luka Dean, who couldn't get in the Barcelona team, Andre Gomez, who couldn't get in the Barcelona team, and they've been 2 of our best players this season. But what I'm saying is, it says a lot that he's not really getting game time. He's not playing a lot for Barcelona. And that says a lot about, the type of player he is and the risk he really did take by turning down Roma. Obviously, that you can look at that 2 ways. You can think he's not playing a lot for Barcelona. Why is that? Or you can think it's Barcelona. Let's be honest, if you don't get in over Messi, if you don't get in over Suarez, then does it really matter? If you don't get in over Coutinho, does it really matter? They're 3 world-class players, let's be honest. And Malcolm probably isn't at that level yet. Obviously, it's also being reported in the rumours for Malcolm that Everton would need to strike a deal with Barcelona for Andre Gomez for the Malcolm deal to go through. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the Malcolm deal at the minute is only being rumoured to be a loan. I suppose it will be a 6-month loan, from January to the end of the season. See how he fares in the Premier League. Obviously, I don't think it's any secret that Marcel Brands favoured Malcolm and was after him in the summer. So I think that's where the rumours have come from. Maybe that Marcel Brands is saying, okay, we'll bring him in to get him off your books, we'll bring him in to get him a little bit of game time, and it will benefit us because if he plays well enough, then we might look to sign him in the summer. Obviously, you'll bring a different element to our squad as well. That's a big part of this transfer rumour is the Andre Gomez stuff, because listen, I don't particularly know how the foreign market works and how the rules work in terms of can you bring 2 loanees in from the same club. I'm not entirely sure. It's being heavily rumoured that you can't. Now, Barcelona, well, a lot of rumours, a lot of journalists are coming out and saying Barcelona, won't sell Malcolm to Everton on a permanent. They will give him as a loan, and they're willing to sell Andre Gomez for £25 million. Obviously, to give Andre Gomez to us on a permanent, and then to help that loan for Malcolm. Now, for me, that's an unbelievable deal for Everton Football Club. If we can sign Andre Gomez for £25 million, that is absolutely astonishing, because he's an absolutely fantastic footballer. In this day and age, £25 million is nothing. He's proved in the Premier League that he can do it. He's proved that he's class. He's proved that he can be an absolutely fantastic addition to this squad. So £25 million is an unbelievable deal. Why not say to Barcelona, listen, Malcolm's a different story. We'll talk about Malcolm on Tuesday, but today, give us Andre Gomez for 25 million, 100%, deal done. And then, if we might want to sign Malcolm, we might want to loan Malcolm, but let's have Andre Gomez for 25 million first and foremost, because that is an absolutely unbelievable deal for Everton if we can do that. Again, this is just being little paper talk, little he said, she said stuff on Twitter. A couple of journalists coming out and saying, part of that deal might be Andre Gomez sounds for 25 million. It is only paper talk anyway. It is only a few people saying the Malcolm deal, it could be a possibility. Marco Silva obviously spoke about this in his pre-game press conference to the Lincoln game, and he said that there's no deal for Malcolm in place. We're absolutely, we're not, he didn't say we're not interested, but he said he doesn't know anything of this. It's not a player we're looking at, and at the minute, in terms of the rumours, there's no substance behind them because we haven't looked at him. Now, you can believe that because he's the manager of our football club. I do believe that, but obviously, that could be a way of saying we're not looking at Malcolm, don't worry about Malcolm, to say other teams don't look at him either because we're going to sign him. It could be a deflection tactic, a lot like the one of saying, we're not going to speak to Andre Gomez about his contract, we just want him to crack on with his football. That may be a deflection tactic, whereas for all we know, Marco Silva might have been in a meeting with Andre Gomez saying we want you to sign on a permanent. Who knows? I think Marco Silva and Marcel Brands are very, very good at controlling the media and letting the media know what they want them to know and making sure they don't know what they don't want them to know. And I think that's vitally important because that means that the players that we bring in aren't always rumoured. Luca Dean wasn't heavily rumoured. Bernard only was rumoured once he was in advanced talks. Andre Gomez wasn't rumoured at all. The only real one that was properly rumoured was Yerry Mina, and that was because obviously he was rumoured with Manchester United at the same time, so I think that fueled it a little bit. But I think that's massive. Obviously that Marco Silva's come out and said there's nothing really in this, we're not really after Malcolm. Now that might have been last week, that might have changed in the last week. A lot of these rumours have come out, strangely, after Marco Silva said that we're not interested in him. So, you know, maybe it's a little bit of food for thought. Maybe it's something to think about. Again, let me know in the comment section, would you accept Malcolm? Would you want to bring Malcolm in? Would you only want to bring him in on a loan? Would you say, yeah, we'll bring him in on a loan if we can have Andre Gomez for 25 million? Or would you just say, listen, don't want Malcolm, don't bother with him, his attitude's not right, and he's not an absolutely unbelievable footballer, so we'll leave him there and let's just focus on Andre Gomez. Let me know what your thoughts are in the live comments or in the comment section down below if you're watching this as a video. John says Everton don't need too many flip-flop players. Exactly, we don't need players that are just going to stand around and do nothing. We need players that can improve this squad, and that's why I love Marcel Brands and love Marco Silva, because I think that they understand that. They understand that we don't just need players that are going to come in and be, you know, just waltz around the football pitch and not do much. You know, they understand that we're not going to bring... They understand that we're not going to bring players in that, you know, are just good players and don't fit our system, and that's why I think it's vitally important. So I believe it's a nice segue. We'll go into talking about Andre Gomez. Now, before we do, please do hit the like button if you are enjoying this team. We've been going for around 35 minutes already. Still got a few transfer rumours to talk about as well, and then we'll talk about that AGM in brief after we've spoken about all of these rumours. Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like I said, please do hit the like button. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. I've got some new equipment coming, a new microphone which will hopefully allow me to do some videos outside of Goodison, hopefully allow me to do some hopefully allow me to do some fan cams, hopefully allow me to do my instant match reactions outside of the ground. And I've got some really exciting news about an away game that I may be going to. Hopefully I'll be travelling up to St Mary's for Southampton away next weekend, so that'll prove some good content as well. We'll be able to do the instant match reaction outside of there, and I'll have a more of an in-depth sort of view on the game because I'll have watched it live. But please do leave a like and subscribe if you are new and you are enjoying the content. As always, I appreciate all of the support. I appreciate everything that you guys do for me. It's absolutely unbelievable, and I can't thank you enough for supporting the channel and for being here in the live teams, leaving live comments, for watching the videos and leaving your comments in the videos as well. Your boy says I think we should get him on loan for the rest of the season. Very fair point. Listen, it's not gonna be a disadvantage to Everton if we sign Malcolm on loan. It's only going to benefit but all parties involved. It's going to benefit Everton because we're bringing in another attacking player, and you can never have too many of them, especially when, you know, we haven't really got a striker at the minute. We haven't really got anybody on that right-hand side that you look at and go, you know, he's a top class player. So it will only benefit Everton. It will benefit Malcolm because he'll get a little more game time. He'll get a lot more exposure. It'll benefit Barcelona because they'll have a player off their hands that they're not really utilising, that can come to a top league and get that experience. So I agree. I probably would take him. I know there's an attitude issue there, but if you bring him on loan, then you don't really have to worry about that. You just have to worry about bringing him in, letting him do his job, and then if in them 6 months you start to realise that there's an attitude problem, then you just send him back and say we don't want him on a permanent. If he proves that, you know, he's committed and he's willing, then that's when we can start to talk about, you know, bringing him in on a permanent or what have you. So I suppose the next one we should talk about is Andre Gomez. Like I mentioned briefly there, currently on loan from Barcelona. It's reported that Barcelona only wants 25 million for Andre Gomez. Like I mentioned there, that this is really paper talk as well, as a lot of this is. But if that is the case, that is an unbelievable unbelievable deal for such a fantastic footballer. I think a lot of people in the live comments, I think a lot of people watching this video will agree that Andre Gomez for 25 million is astonishing. The lad is wonderful, and I know in the last 2 games he hasn't been, you know, unbelievable. Maybe he has been carrying a knock and he has been a little bit waltzing around the football pitch, not doing much, a little bit, you know, lazy if you like. But for me, he's carrying an injury, and he's got a hamstring injury or he's got a groin injury. That's quite clear. So he needs to be taken out the team for a couple of games, and he needs to be given the rest, and he needs to be given the time to recuperate. He's a fantastic footballer, we all know that, and I don't think any Evertonian will turn around and say they wouldn't pay £25 million for him, because that is an absolute steal for a quality footballer. So like I said, I've got that written down. That is purely a rumour coming off the back of the Malcolm rumours, and I don't know whether that's just one that, you know, journalists have said, oh, Everton might be interested in Malcolm on loan, and then someone's gone, hang on, they can't sign Malcolm on loan because of Gomez, and the journalists have gone, shit, 25 million for Gomez, Everton are going to sign him as well. So, again, I don't know too much about that. The main thing is that Andre Gomez is an Everton player at the minute. He is signed for Everton on loan for the remainder of the season. I think we will sign him. I don't know whether the deal will be done in January. I don't know whether the deal will be done in the summer. I personally think we will sign him. I think Marco and Marcel love him. I think, you know, Barcelona want him to come to Everton. I think he loves the club himself. So I do think that we will sign him, and I think that Andre Gomez is a player that we'll see for Everton next season, and we'll see in an Everton shirt for the foreseeable future. Whether that deal is stuck in January, whether that deal is 25 million, whether it's stuck in the summer and worth 50 million, who knows? That is just a rumour at this minute. John says, once you go live before 8 PM every night, I'll keep watching you, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you for all of the support. Everyone, John and everybody else as well, thank you all for the support. It means so much to me. So, yeah, like I said, the Andre Gomez one, again, only the typical rumours of a player that's coming on loan, being fantastic, being a revelation, and the odd, you know, the normal rumours that you get if you like to a player like that with people saying, you know, he's going to sign on a permanent and he's only going to cost us this and that. But like I said, not a lot to that at the minute, just the odd sort of here and there rumour that he might be part of the Malcolm deal if that deal is ever struck. So I suppose the next big one, the biggest one in terms of outgoings, and the biggest one in terms of this whole saga situation, to be honest, is Idrissa Gana Gueye. Now for me, sorry, the Idrissa Gana Gueye transfer rumour is quite serious for me, and I know it's only a rumour, and again, it's only paper talk. Marco Silva hasn't been asked about this rumour, which is quite strange in press conferences. Maybe that tells you that there is a lot behind it and that he is looking to leave the club, and that's why, you know, the media are keeping back, because they're saying, I'm not going to ask Marco Silva a question that'll put him into a corner, because, you know, he doesn't want to lie, but he equally doesn't want to say, yeah, Gana Gueye's leaving. But this is a big one for me. It really is a big one. Look, like I said, sorry, I've got a bit of a sore throat. Let me just have a little sip of me drink. Like I said, before we go into talking about this rumour, I love Idrissa Gana Gueye. I really do. I think he's a really good footballer. I think he does his job fantastically well. I've got a frog in my throat here, sorry about this. I think he does his job fantastically well. Like I said, he needs to improve on his general play. He needs to improve on being able to pass the ball. He needs to improve on being able to link the play up a lot better. But for me, what Idrissa Gana Gueye does well is something that not a lot of players do well in this league and in world football, and that is pick up the scraps, do the scrappy work. He has got pace, and he has got, you know, ability to run. Yes, his final ball mightn't be the best, but he picks up the scrappy and he does the work that not a lot of footballers do, and I think that's why he's a vital part to the way we play, and he's a vital part to Everton Football Club. This will be really interesting to hear what you guys think. Leave your comments on the Idrissa Gana Gueye rumours in the comment section down below, of course. So he's rumoured to be signing for PSG, or PSG are rumoured to be in for him. Everton are reportedly wanting at least £40.4 million for Gana Gueye, and will not accept anything less. PSG, of course, like any other team that negotiates a deal, do not want us to spend that much money on Idrissa Gana Gueye. They have a spending cap, I believe, of £18 million this January transfer window, and I think they're probably looking to only spend around 18 on Gueye. Now, we obviously signed Gueye for around £6 million from Aston Villa 3 years ago, I think it was, and he's been a fantastic player. So if we can get £40 million for him in a business sense, that will be a massive profit. For me, I think it's very important that we keep Gana Gueye for January. I wouldn't be totally against the idea of moving him on in the summer, especially if he doesn't want to play for Everton, and especially if we've got somebody lined up that can do his job and do it better. There's players out there, you know, Decore from Watford. I don't know why I pronounced that wrong. Decore from Watford. Obviously, we mentioned Wilmar Barrios before as well. But for me, I think it would be a massive risk for Marco Silva and Marcel Brands to sell Gueye in January, and by massive risk, I mean we will be selling one of our most important players in the middle of a Premier League season that we're already not doing fantastically well in. You know, like I said, don't get me wrong, I think if Idrissa Gana Gueye doesn't want to play for Everton, then I don't want him playing for Everton. Any player, I don't care if you're 40 goals a season, if you don't want to play for my football club, leave the door. That's just how I am. That's just how I feel about that situation. Again, that's only rumours that, you know, He doesn't want to play here. There's only rumours that he's apparently agreed personal terms with PSG. They are just rumours in the mill. I think this one is probably the most likely out of all of the rumours. Players in and out wise. I think this has got the most beef on it, if you like. Like I said, reported £40 million that Everton want for him, and PSG aren't willing to pay that at all. If I was Everton now, if I was Marcel Brands and Marco Silva, I'd be saying, okay, cheers for your time. There's the phone. That's it. It's 40 million or it's nothing. We do not budge. This lad is vitally important to Everton. And I'd also be saying to PSG, give us a call back in the summer. Give us a call back in August. And maybe we can have the conversation then, because he's not going now. Like I said, the fact that this hasn't been asked to Silva, this hasn't been asked to Brands, there's not been a lot of mainstream sort of media talk about this, does worry me a little bit, because there's been a lot of talk from other outlets, from outlets coming out of France, from outlets coming out of Italy, that, Idrissa Gana Gueye may be on his way out of Everton. Like I said there, obviously there's an issue with the spending cap because of financial fair play. I don't think we'll sell him for £20 million. I really don't. And, it is, again, only a rumour that we've said 40 million or nothing. That conversation might not have happened as well. I suppose the biggest point of this transfer rumour is that a lot of reporters are reporting that Gana Gueye has apparently agreed personal terms already with PSG and is quite happy to leave. Now, you can see the substance in this. You can see the reason this may be real. Obviously, Idrissa Gana Gueye, a really, really good footballer, a footballer that you could see playing for a team like PSG. Gonna go there, gonna win titles, gonna play Champions League football, because the French league is a poor league, let's be honest, no disrespectful. There's not much competition in it. He will challenge in the Champions League as well. He'll get to play with players like Neymar, players like Mbappe. So in terms of any player that is linked to a PSG, to a Real Madrid, to a Barcelona, you'd always have to take these rumours as, they've got substance behind them, because these are the best teams in the world. And I don't really think PSG are one of the best teams in the world, if you like, but they're definitely up there in terms of winning trophies and the type of players that he'll have around them. You have to look at these seriously, because there's not many players in world football that would turn around to a PSG and say, you know what, don't want to play for you, especially if you're a midfielder currently playing for a Premier League club that are, in the top 8, not really breaking that top 6, and especially if you understand that in terms of being a midfield player, you need to improve a lot in terms of passing the ball, in terms of creating play. Yes, he does his job well, and I will stress that to the end of days, but he is such a frustrating midfielder to watch for me because of the things he doesn't do well. And if PSG are coming sniffing for him, he might see that and go, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play for the Champions League team, play alongside some of the best players in the world, and, improve my skills while doing that. I'm going to go over there. Like I said, the big worry for me is the fact that a lot of outlets are rumouring that he's agreed personal terms already with PSG. If that's the case for me, I'd say to Gueye, listen, you stay until the summer and then you can leave, because I don't want you here if you don't want to play for Everton, and if you're going to go behind our back and sign for somebody else. Again, that's just rumours. That might not have happened. For all we know, that might be baloney, and Gueye might said, no, I don't really want to go to them, or I'm not really interested in talking about that now. For me, I think he's massively important to Everton, and I would definitely keep him until the summer. If we can get £40-odd million for him, and we can bring in 2 players to replace him, and by 2 players I mean we already need a player that can play the Idrissa Gana Gueye role for Everton if he stays. If he leaves, we then need 2 players that can do that role. So if we can bring in 2 players that are equally as good, if not better than Gana Gueye, for cheaper than the money that we'd be selling him for, and then get £40-odd million for him, then it may be a deal that we look to make, but I definitely don't think it's a deal that we should be looking to make in January. Let me know your thoughts in the live comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section as well if you're watching this as a video. Would you let Idrissa Gana Gueye leave Everton? Would you let him leave in January? Would you let him leave in the summer? And does the fact that he may be interested in a move to PSG, does that change your opinion on him? Or are you stuck with the fact that, no, don't care who he wants to go to, don't care, what he wants. He's an Everton player, he's contacted at Everton, and he will stay at Everton Football Club. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like I said, that's probably the biggest transfer rumour in the last week. That's the one that a lot of people are talking about. PSG are noticeably after Gana Gueye, noticeably after Decore from Watford as well. So, definitely one that we have to come on and talk about, because he's a vital player to Everton. He's a vital player to how we play. Not many players can do the role that Gana Gueye does, and no one in Everton can do that role. So, if he is going to leave the club, it's important that we replace him, because we could be very, very stuck without him, and that's not a situation that I want to see Everton in. So that's enough about Gana Gueye. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like I said, if you're in the live chat, leave your thoughts there as well. What do you think about that? Would you let him go? Would you want to keep him? I suppose we'll go on to the last one now. It's not the last one. I've got one more after this, but the last in player, I suppose, that is Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, sorry, I absolutely butchered that spelling. Bruno Fernandes, he is a Portuguese midfielder currently playing for Sporting in the Portuguese league. I believe he's played for Udinese in the Italian league as well. Liverpool are also interested in Bruno Fernandes. He is a very, very good creative central midfield player, plays in the number 8 role for Sporting. He's got 3 games and 3 goals this season in the Taça da Liga, which I assume is the Portuguese league, and he's played 6 games and he's got 2 goals in the Europa League as well for Sporting. So his stats are looking quite good. Oh no, it's not. The Taça da Liga, I believe, is the trophy competition in Portugal. The Premier Liga, which is their league. Sorry, I got myself mixed up there. He's played 15 games, got 6 goals and 5 assists. So his stats are looking pretty saucy. He looks like a really good footballer, a really good creative footballer, and definitely somebody that you know, gets involved in goals, gets involved in assists, and involved in the creative elements of that. Like we mentioned there, clubs like Liverpool are also rumoured to be interested. This again is just a rumour that a couple of journalists have come out and said Everton are interested in Bruno Fernandes. Obviously Portuguese, same nationality as Marco Silva, and a midfield player, a player that plays a little bit like Andre Gomes, I suppose you could say. Maybe a little bit of a mix between Gomes and Sigurdsson. Plays in that number 8 role, but obviously provides goals and assists for his team, as you can see there in his stats. He's provided a lot of goals and assists this season in the games that he's played, and I think we need a player like that, if you like. I love Andre Gomes, I really do, but I don't think he provides enough going forward, and maybe that's just to do with the role that he's playing in. Maybe that's the instructions that he's being given by Marco Silva. But if we can bring a Bruno Fernandes in, and I dare say it, he can be like our Arteta, if you like, because everybody is always saying, and still saying to this day, we need a player like Arteta. We haven't replaced Arteta, so if we can possibly strike a deal for Bruno Fernandes and he can come in and be that player, then absolutely fantastic. But like I said, at the minute, that is purely just he said, she said talk, and there's a lot of other teams interested in Bruno Fernandes, a lot of good teams as well, so we'll keep your eye out for that. I'll have updates on that throughout the channel and as that progresses. The last one I wanted to speak about is Wilmar Barrios. I suppose we'll end it on a nice, let's say, on a nice transfer deal. I think it's quite apparent now that that Nias will be leaving Everton, if not in January, definitely in the summer. Definitely as soon as we bring in a striker, I think he will be the first one that leaves the club. Listen, I just want to go on record that I appreciate everything that Nias has done for us. He was hung out to dry by Ronald Koeman. When Ronald Koeman first started managing, he was bought, as a risk by Roberto Martinez. He was brought as to basically say, look, we signed someone, didn't work out. He was then hung out to dry by Ronald Koeman, treated awfully, didn't even have a locker, wasn't allowed to train, wasn't allowed to eat with the first team. He then proved Ronald Koeman wrong towards the end of his reign, and then, started to get a little bit of form under his belt, and then again Marco Silva's come in and he hasn't really been in favour. Marco Silva's looked and said, look, realistically, you're not good enough. I'm not going to treat you how he treated you and disrespect you like that, but realistically you're not good enough. Like I've put down in the notes here, he hasn't really played much this season at all. Cardiff are rumoured to be interested in him. Maybe a good move for him, maybe a good move for all parties involved. Again, with that one, let me know if you would let Wilmar Barrios leave in January or in the summer, and if so, how much would you take for Barrios? How much, would you think we can get anywhere near the 14-odd million pounds that we spent on him, or would you be happy to just take, £6 or £7 million and just get him off the books? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. John says, are you going to start doing Everton watch-alongs in the near future? It's something that I'll think about doing. Like I said, it'll be very tough to do it consistently because, I go every home game, got a season ticket. I go to Goodison every single week, so it'll be very hard to do consistently. I may start doing it with away games. That's something that I'd have to think about. Like I said, It'll be tough to do it on a consistent basis, but it's definitely something I'll think about, and we'll get back on it in the future. Like I said, I've just ordered some new equipment, so I'm looking to start to do fan cams and other little bits and bobs outside the stadium, and bits and bobs outside of you know, my bedroom with the green screen, basically some other stuff. So hopefully that goes well, and you'll see some of that content, hopefully starting with Southampton away in a couple of weeks. Ian says those Bruno stats are fantastic. Exactly, I was a little bit baffled myself when I seen them. I you know, googled them earlier today. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really watch the Portuguese league. I googled them earlier today, and I was a little bit baffled. But when you think about a midfielder and somebody that can provide goals and be that type of creative midfielder, he definitely looks like that type of midfielder, and I think that's why a lot of top teams are in for Bruno Fernandes. And I think, you know, it will be a massive ask if we sign him, but for me, Marcel Brands is capable of signing any player, and as is Marco Silva. You know, you only have to look at Luca Dean saying, I was absolutely fine at Barcelona, I was happy, I wasn't leaving. I spoke to Marco Silva on the phone, and I was on, you know, I wanted to sign the next day. That's all you'd have to look at. It might be a similar situation with Bruno Fernandes, or he might just turn around and say, nah, I've got somebody better that I'll go to. It's fine. But that is something that we'll have to keep an eye on in the future. Like I said, that's probably the transfer rumour that's got the least substance out of all of them. That's the one that I think has only been rumoured a couple of times. The one that's just sort of been put out there as Everton need an attacking midfielder. Here's a really good attacking midfielder in form that's, you know, looking to play in one of the top leagues in the world. Let's put 2 and 2 together. But we'll have updates on that in the near future as well. Anyway, that is going to do it for this Rumours live stream. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on all of the players that we spoke about. If you're in the live comments, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for everyone getting involved. Like I said, if you're watching this as a video, leave your comments in the comment section. I'll be there all night replying to comments. Let me know what you think about all of the rumours that were spoken about. What do you think about Wilmar Barrios? Would you take the risk on him? Would you bring him in? Do you think he can be the replacement to Idrissa Gana Gueye, or you know, a midfielder that plays in a similar role? What do you think about the Malcolm rumours? Would you take him on a loan? Would you bring him in if it means that we sign Andre Gomez for 25 million? And what do you think about Idrissa Gana Gueye as well? Would you let him leave the club if he wanted to, or would you say to him, no, you wait until the summer and then you're going to leave? Would you sell him for the £40 million that Everton are apparently demanding for him? Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. Please do hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It means a massive amount to me. Like the stream, like the video if you have enjoyed as well. Your boy says, I like Umar, and I think a move to Cardiff would be very good for him and his career. Yeah, definitely. I've got nothing against Umar Niasse, and for me, if he's not going to play week in, week out for Everton, and if he's not good enough for that, let him go and let him get on with his career, because it's really not fair of him sitting on the bench and you know, not getting involved. Let him go and play football somewhere else, and good luck to him. And that's all I've really got to say on that situation. But thank you all, everyone. Thank you all, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you have enjoyed, like I said, please do leave a like. I'll be back on Friday for the full game preview to Everton versus Bournemouth at Goodison Park. Like I said, I've got a lot of things planned for the channel in the near future, starting with that Southampton away game. Hopefully the new equipment works. Hopefully we can get some fan cams maybe, and hopefully we can get a little bit more interactive content as well with other fans involved, because this is a fan channel. This isn't just me talking about Everton. It's not my personal channel. This is a fan channel, so it's for all of you guys to get involved as well. So click subscribe to make sure that you keep up to date with all of the new videos and all of the live streams and stuff that we do on the channel. Obviously, previews and reviews for every single game, and then other little videos like this and streams like this talking about other situations. Leave a like on the video as well if you'd like to see more of the Mighty Transfer Show. Obviously, I'm going to do a couple more of these, if not more of these, in January, because there'll be, I dare say, there'll be a lot more rumours. There'll be a lot more rumours surrounding players in, players out. And then this will obviously start up regularly in the summer when the transfer rumours start to fly in a lot more. I suppose before we'll go, we'll talk briefly about the Everton AGM. So the biggest news to sort of come out of it is a couple of things. We'll bring up 3 points. One is that Marco Silva was asked about zonal marking. At an Everton AGM, he was asked about zonal marking. Never change Evertonians. Absolutely fantastic question. 2 is that Marcel Brands has been appointed as a member of the Everton board. So obviously, you know, he's now got a lot more of responsibility. He's not just going to be scouting players. He's not just going to be working with Marco Silva. He'll be responsible for the youth setups, overlooking that, as well as a lot more other things. So that's massive, massive news for us as a football club. It shows how far we want to go. It shows where we're looking to go in the future, bringing someone like Marcel Brands on board. and it's absolutely fantastic that he's agreed to join the board, of course. And like we mentioned earlier, Denise Barrett-Baxendale has been speaking about the future of the club and saying, you know, our aim is to win Premier League titles, our aim is to play in the Champions League and do that in a massive stadium as well. Farhad Moshiri has also said that we've put a lot of money into Marco Silva and he is our man for now. He is the one we are going for, and we have a lot of trust in him, and we trust that he can get this job done. He's also said that he'll put a lot more money into Everton if we need, and he'll help fund the stadium massively as well. And he said, you know, it's a massive project at the minute for the club, but you know, we know where we want to go, we know where we need to go, and we'll do everything we can to get there. So that was just a brief summary of the Everton AGM yesterday. Absolutely some fantastic comments and some really, really positive sort of speeches by the likes of Denise Barrett-Baxendale, by the likes of Farhad Moshiri, and of course Marcel Brands and Marco Silva. So really, really positive news, really, really positive speeches from those that work within the club, and it's looking absolutely fantastic for the future. It's looking really, really bright, and let's hope we can kickstart that with a couple of wins in the Premier League, and maybe even a couple of these players that we've spoken about today being brought in to improve the squad. But anyway, that is going to do it for this live stream. Like I said, if you have enjoyed, please do leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll be back on Friday for the game preview to the Bournemouth game. Hopefully we get another 3 points there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you're watching this as a video as to all of the transfer rumours we've spoken about today. Thank you everyone ever so much, as always, in the live chat. I hope you have enjoyed the stream, and I hope you come back on Friday to speak about the Bournemouth game as well. But that's going to do it for me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It only takes a second, and it does support massively. And leave a like on the video if you have enjoyed. But anyway, that is going to be it. Thank you all for watching. Chad says good to see you, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.